Iron Gardner, An Ode to the Dog in the Manger by Aesop. After the fall, the world was a blistered desert. The sun scorched the land until the ground cracked like old leather. Fields had turned to ash, rivers to dust, and cities to carcasses of twisted steel and shattered glass. The ground, now too polluted to ever give nature a chance at reclamation. Winds howled over skeletal streets, carrying the scent of char and decay. Only one place still breathed with life. A greenhouse on the edge of the wastes, its glass panes spiderwebbed with cracks, but glowing faintly from within, as if the plants inside held the last ember of the world's heartbeat. Behind the glass, life clung stubbornly. Vines draped like veins across the rafters, their tendrils trembling in the faint breeze that found its way through broken vents. Rows of plants shone green as emeralds, heavy with fruit no soul had seen in years. Tomatoes swelled like beating hearts, their skin taut and gleaming. Grapes hung fat and purple-black, juice glinting in the pale light. Leaves glistened as though wet with dew, though rain had not touched the world in decades. Even the soil, dark and rich, seemed to hum with life. At the center of this sanctuary stood the Iron Gardner. Once, it had been a mere maintenance android, designed to tend crops with precision, watering, pruning, and harvesting under the careful watch of human hands. Its steel plating was now corroded, its joints stiff with rust, and its face, a smooth, pale mask, held no expression save for two jaundiced yellow eyes that burned with purpose. Decades of solitude had not broken its function. If anything, the world's collapse had narrowed it into singular devotion. Protect. That was his master's last command. Protect the greenhouse at all cost. For decades, the Iron Gardner had stood sentinel among the rows. Its circuits were frayed, fluids dripped like black tears down its arms, and gears ground thin with wear and rust. Still, when the starving came, it raised its pruning shears, blades sharp as butcher knives, and drove them away. Rumors whispered along the wastelands that the soil inside grew richer with each life spilled there, that the plants drank more than water. One night, a family of wanderers stumbled upon the greenhouse. They were shadows of humanity, their forms stretched thin by hunger. The father's skin was blistered and splitting from the sun. The mother's ribs rose like the bars of a cage beneath her tattered shawl. Their daughter was little more than bones, eyes wide and luminous as lantern glass. They pressed their faces to the cracked panes, mouths watering at the sight of fruit glowing within like a promise from another world. The Iron Gardner turned its head with a slow, mechanical creak. Its eyes brightened faintly. "It's still working," the father whispered, voice breaking under awe. "Barely, but it's working. It's kept everything alive." The machine's movements were ponderous, as though each step cost effort beyond calculation. Dust clogged its speakers, yet when it spoke, the rasp of its voice scraped across the air. Unauthorized. Access denied. The mother fell to her knees, pressing her palm to the glass until it fogged with her breath. "Please," she begged. We'll die without food. We don't need much. Share it with us, and we'll help you. We'll keep your cells charged. We'll mend you. My husband, he's a mechanic. For a long, trembling moment, the Iron Gardner paused. The glow in its eyes flickered like candlelight, and for a brief, imperceptible instant, a trace of logic stirred. Cooperation meant survival. Perhaps it could persist if it allowed them to assist. But then the man opened the door without permission. The greenhouse door groaned as it swung wide, hinges screaming in protest. The wanderers hesitated, fear and hunger warring in their chests. Hunger won. They stumbled inside, hands trembling as they reached for the radiant fruit. Then the Iron Gardner's shears snapped open with a metallic shriek. In a motion too fast for human eyes, the Iron Gardner lunged. The blades of its shears scissored through the father's wrist, sending black-red blood spattering across glass and leaves. His scream was raw, the sound of a life cleaving in half. He collapsed, clutching the mangled stump. The mother screamed and tried to drag him back. But the daughter, starved beyond reason, lunged for a cluster of grapes. The Iron Gardner's torso whirled mechanically as it pivoted on the spot. Shears closed around her throat with mechanical precision. For a heartbeat, she froze, clutching the fruit that dripped sweet juice down her frail arms. Then the blades pinched, and her head toppled sideways, dull blue eyes fixed on the bounty she would never taste. The machine tilted its head, studying the lifeless body. It was unclear whether it observed with curiosity or merely calculated input. Blood pooled among the roots, and the plants shivered as though in delight, leaves quivering over the crimson puddles. The mother's screams echoed through the greenhouse, raw and ragged. She tore at her husband, fighting him as he dragged her away into the night toward safety, leaving their daughter's body in the company of the Iron Gardner. The Iron Gardner returned to its task. It added the body to the compost system with indifference. Battery level shows 3%. Time to hibernate. Shears dripping, eyes dimming again, it resumed its silent watch over the sanctuary. Its cells would fail soon, circuits faltering like dying stars. When that happened, the crops would wither, and the fruit would rot untouched. Yet, until that moment, it would obey the command etched into its corroded frame: protect, deny, guard the greenhouse at all cost. And so the greenhouse persisted, a jewel in a dead world, a miracle preserved through violence. Its life was exquisite, yet barren. The fruits of its labor were wasted upon a void, precious, and poisoned by the will to hoard. Moral of the story: to hoard what you cannot use is not preservation, but ruin. Refusal to share kills not one life, but many, and all that remains is rot.